Most people don't actually have a money problem. They have a clarity problem. So money leaks, not because we're kind of reckless, but because we just don't slow down long enough to really see what's happening. So today, I'm going to show you a very simple way to plan your year. No spreadsheets, no apps, just a notebook. It's not perfect, but it just forces you to engage and understand what you're spending. Now, the first thing we're going to do is get a simple notebook and call it our 2026 plan. Simple notebook from any local store or Amazon. And we're going to take our starting number. So let's imagine your monthly income net of tax is $4,000. The first thing we're going to do is remove 10% of that. Now that is going to be our savings, buffer, future flexibility. So $4,000 less 10%, $400, gives you $3,600 per month. Now, this $3,600 is important. It's not a restriction number, it's a permission to spend number. Everything inside this will be no guilt, no surprises. Now, we all know that years are quite lumpy in reality, and real life, well, it isn't neat. So some months are going to be more expensive than others, and some are going to be quite quiet. So this can bring some problems if you don't really think ahead. So you can approach this in two ways. You can take $3,600 per month, or 3,600 times 12, and then spread it accordingly. So you might have holidays, birthdays, cars repairs, school costs, etc. And you will increase those months to accommodate those and lower other months to kind of offset that. And the goal isn't to predict everything. You simply won't. The goal is to write down things so that when things happen, you're responding and not reacting. Now, it's purely a starting point. It's not perfect. It's not a forecast. Now, why journaling works? Now, this is why journaling matters, because writing down engages your brain differently to just typing or scrolling. It's kind of like revising for exams or learning something properly. When you write it down, your brain has to participate. You slow write down, you notice the patterns, and you reflect. Now, that engagement creates awareness, and awareness is what creates change. So this is how we're going to do it. So I'm going to use a notebook, and each month we're going to put in the weekly pages. So on page 1, we're going to have January, week 1, then page 2, January, week 2, and so on, week 3, week 4, week 5, because it's January, it's got 5 weeks, and then a reflection section. Now, let me show you what we're going to do next. So we're going to ask some key questions along the top. Firstly, what patterns am I noticing? We're going to look down our list and see if there's anything that we reflect on. 2, did these bring me joy? So we've got a column for joy. So on the first one, coffee, did it bring me joy? Well, in the moment it might have brought you joy, but long term, it's not really bringing you joy. Did these align with my goals? So A for goals. So no, that didn't align with my goals. Grocery, well, I've got to eat, so it kind of has to. Was it worth the hours it took to earn it? Well, probably for a coffee at $5 if you're earning $15, $20 an hour, probably not worth it. And then what was the trigger? Well, the trigger here was being asked to go for a coffee, or maybe the habit you have every morning of buying a coffee. But really, well, can you modify it? Well, of course. So you can maybe go for one coffee on Friday with a colleague, or you can make your own coffee. So that's basically what you're doing. And then, was I in control? And you kind of use that reflection section to kind of look at that and think, honestly, was I in control? And you're going to go down and you're going to repeat this for every single one of these expense items. And you're going to ask yourself those key questions. Now, in the back of the book, we're going to write January to December. We're going to put what we spent in one column and what we plan to spend in another column. So the $3,600 that we talked about earlier is going to go in this column. And as we put our numbers down, we're going to show whether or not we're over or under against that monthly spending. And we're simply going to keep a log of it. I also keep one principle in mind, the Pareto principle. Now, roughly 80% of any results usually come from about 20% of your actions. And that's why we're not obsessing over perfect categorization or endless details. Those things can help, but they're not, where the real gains are coming from. The real gains for this exercise come from a few obvious behaviors, you repeat every month. So the goal here is to keep it simple. And this is about choosing something really simple that you actually will do, and not something that's impressive that you abandon after 2 weeks. So what we're going to go and do next is we're going to turn back to the pages in the front. We're going to take a highlighter, any color you like, and basically go back and based off the ticks and things, we're going to highlight the things I'd like to change next month. So basically you can see there's lots of X's here. We're going to go and cross through that, and we're going to cross it out and highlight the things that we don't think are going to be worth repeating. Now, not everything, just the obvious ones, you know, impulse buys, low joy, high spending, things that didn't really align with your goals, things, this isn't about cutting, you know, it's about editing. That highlighter becomes next month's improvements. This isn't about restriction, it's about the clarity it will give you and the control that comes with that. Do this for a few months and I promise you, you don't have to do it forever, but you will start behaving differently and you'll start getting better with money. Now, I'm going to show you how to zoom out of this in a longer term plan in the future, but for now, I want you to write down, you know, what you're spending and ask these key questions and keep it simple enough to stick with. And that's where the real change will begin. So I hope you got a lot out of that. Hope you thought it was worth the effort, because we need to keep this simple. But if you're going to go into January with a lot of frustration from spending in December, we want to really get on top of our expenses this year, because this is the year we can make a big difference, make some changes. We don't have to make it complicated, but we do need to go through the process of journaling it.